UFC 317 is technically happening today because by the time that I post this, it will be 12 o'clock. One more sleep. But I wanted to make a video today. This is a good topic to cover at any point. I want to discuss how having fan interactions with UFC fighters will never be easier than it is right now. In this current moment as I'm making this video, you and your favorite fighter could talk online, or if you saw them out in public and you approached them and you were respectful and you shook their hand and you greeted them like they were a human being, you didn't act like a cave dweller, you could have an interaction with your favorite fighter and it wouldn't be that difficult. I was doom scrolling on my MMA account, Bewolf MMA, there it is up at the top left, and I saw a post from the motorcycle guy in the John Jones video in Thailand where he's higher than a Georgia pine riding on the back of that dude's motorcycle playing with his hair. And there's another suggestive photo of him clasping that dude's head like he's a baby. And so I posted it on my story on that account and I said, Jones is a hashtag real geeker. And the dude liked it. The motorcycle guy liked my story posting him and John Jones. UFC and MMA fighters in general are the best athletes in sports whenever it comes to accessibility, either on these online posts or in person. I've been seeing a lot more of these pages on Instagram who are MMA media outlets doing interviews with fighters. So either they're reaching out more or fighters are just accepting more interviews, and they've always been reaching out. But the influence of MMA media is growing, and the result of that is getting much more expanded bios of these fighters who are telling more about themselves. So this is great stuff. The reason why UFC or MMA fighters are often so easy to approach and speak with, it just comes down to the type of people that they are. Ultimately, all of these guys, they want to be liked. They do something that's very dangerous and they worked hard at it, and they often get no recognition. So if you do look their way and say, I do like the way that you did X, Y, and Z, and they can tell that you actually watch their fight long enough to get something from it, that's going to make them happy. Because I could imagine if you're just this regional dude working to make your dream work, nobody's patting you on the back and telling you good job, and you're just slaving towards making this goal of yours happen. And I can't speak for all of them because you don't know what's in their hearts, but the people that I've met, none of them fight for evil. A lot of the guys, even around my age, I'm a young man, they have families, like children and stuff, and they fight for these people. They're family guys like Peter Griffin, most of them. And if they don't have children of their own, they're fighting for their parents or whoever put on for them whenever they were young. MMA fighters who compete at the highest level of the sport in the UFC, they have the most relatable backgrounds out of any pro athletes. I find that a lot of people who get into MMA, it's not like they're completely destitute, it's just they don't have a lot. Like, their parents give them, or whoever they live with in whatever household setting that they had that what they needed. They always had a roof over their heads, but not much outside of that. And a lot of these guys weren't good at going to school and getting education, so they don't have much other prospects. As a dude with a job and like knowing what it took to get a job and all of the years of school that I endured for the job that I currently have, it makes me understand why a lot of these guys were just like, you know what? I'm just gonna start fighting, because it's a lot, dude, trying to make your way out in this world. And if this is something that you're good at and it brings you peace, then I can see why you lean into it as something that you want to make your future. So the people that do choose to do it, a lot of them often are into influencing, because self-promo is a big deal in the UFC. You have to do it as a fighter. There's no way around it. The marketing the machine of the UFC promotion, it does a good job of putting on for you whenever you're about to fight. But outside of that, if you're not making any noise on your own, then people just forget who you are and you fall off. So in staying active online and maintaining these personas as whoever they want to be on these social media accounts that they maintain, I feel like they do appreciate communicating with the fans who watch their fights, because the fans give them direct feedback on how they view their performances and if they want to see them or not. And if you commend a fighter for having a good performance, even if they do have a larger platform than a smaller one, they'll still see the individual comments of you telling them good job, because I feel like the elite level fighters are never commended. It could be dangerous to have a yes man around, but I mean, at a certain point, these guys do deserve their flowers. The most loved fighters are the ones who are known for having good reputations with fans online and responding to their comments on social media accounts. It's fun and it makes the fan base feel more involved, and it makes us feel closer to these fighters, the fact that they want to relate to the fans. And this is all of them, so that's why you see fighters like Markel Medeiros there and also Bo Nickel, they apologize for not getting finishes in a couple of their fights because they know that that's important. They want to be liked by the fans. And Bo Nickel's personality, it's definitely programmed from what he thinks that he should say as a top level contender, but everybody wants to be the guy who can speak like Bo Nickel and then do what he says he's going to do. So it's easy to laugh at him, but he did aim high, and very few people are in a position like that to be able to pursue the type of pathway towards the belt that he was able to take, granted that he continued to win. The story of Bo Nickel is a very human one, and I learned a lot from watching his rise and fall. And he could have some fight left in him. We'll see about what his future holds, but you could tell he wanted people to like him really bad. Fighters like Shamrock, a guy who just got signed to the UFC, if you want to invest in a hype train early and you wanted to personally reach out to a guy like Shamrock who hasn't fought yet, but you believe in him, for whatever reason, this is just your boy, if you direct messaged him and you were like, yo, Shamrock, I believe in you in your next fight, I hope that it's a great finish, he'd probably respond and be like, thank you, man, or whatever he'd say, and probably see it and like the message, and that'll be a positive fan interaction that you would just be able to have. And that could be replicated with any other fighter at around that level of clout. So I'm going to talk about fighters I've had online or in-person interactions with today. My boy Burt MMA, he made a post talking about how Nazim Sadikov broke Nikolas Motta's jaw, and there's the x-ray footage right there. I think maybe at the bottom right corner of the x-ray, I see that there's a dark spot that could indicate that there was some type of oh no, the jaw is broken right there at the mandible where the wisdom tooth is. Ooh. And that's exactly what he said there in the comment. Now it makes sense. And so he posted this comment. I didn't really understand what he meant by it because I didn't look too closely at the x-ray. I was really paying attention to those root canals there on his bottom row of teeth, and I did not see the massive fracture at the bottom right side of the x-ray. Oh my gosh, that's crazy that happened to him. Anyways, I still commented, or I replied, thank you for putting on that fight. You both deserved a bunch of money. They both got $100K for the performance that they put on at UFC Azerbaijan. And that boy, Nikolas Motta, he liked the comment. What a lad. And then everyone else followed suit afterwards. There was like 6 more comments afterwards saying thank you for putting on that fight with Nazim Sadikov. You guys both did a great job. And you don't even need a glaze, bro. If you just want to have a good fan interaction, a good wholesome interaction with one of these fighters, just say good job. This is the reason why I say Terrance Mckinney is my boy, because I saw another Burt MMA post that announced that he had signed a new multi-fight contract. And so I just direct messaged Terrance Mckinney from my Instagram account. And I was like, hey buddy, I just seen you re-sign with the UFC. Please start knocking people out again. I'm always root for you, gang. And then he replied and he said, appreciate you, G, that's love. I think we ended up talking more after that initial exchange there in the first picture on the left. And I was talking about just like I'm grateful for the fact that he's still stayed in the UFC. I think that Jairzinho Rozenstruik had been let go at this point. And it might have actually been after the card where he did knock out Damir Hadzovic, because Mike Davis had fought Faraz Ziem in February, and he lost that fight. And I think that Faraz Ziem had called out Terrance Mckinney, or I'd asked him if he'd take that rematch, and he was like, yeah, I would, sure. And he was talking about how he used to spar with Mike Davis, or that he still does. He says that him and Mike Davis be scrapping there in that picture. It was funny. And so I just told him, 2025 will be a good year for you, just stay the course. And he said, of course, hard work, God first. Give it to him, and he will bring peace. And I said, excellent mindset, stay safe, champ. And he said, you too, bruh, love. That's my boy. I love Terrance Mckinney. There was another post that Homo Fight made literally 2 days ago, and it was a statistic that just said that Terrance Mckinney has never been to a decision in a 23-fight MMA career. And I commented on the post, and I said, McKinney is such a freaking homie. He's going to start another knockout streak after Damir and this weekend. And he liked the post. That's my boy, man. I love Terrance Mckinney. And he probably doesn't even remember these direct messages, man. And he doesn't know who I am, because on that page, I'm just Beowulf MMA. But I feel like connected to this guy now, and I'm heavily invested in his run, however far he goes now. And he's fighting this weekend. I'm very excited to see his performance against Vyacheslav Borshev, and I selected him to win via first round KO, and I believe that he can do it. This is my guy, bro. Like, Terrance Mckinney, we love Terrance Mckinney in this neck of the woods. Another fighter, Bryan Battle. I made this meme on that same Instagram account, and I posted it, and I actually went stupid. The screenshot at the bottom is at the early going of whenever I had posted this, and it already got 30k views and like a few thousand likes. Bryan Battle himself liked the post, which I thought was funny. And I made a reply to a guy who was talking about how he just clinch spammed Randy Brown to death in this fight. And I said apparently he was mad hurt going into that fight, and that I'll just make an excuse for any fighter that I like to watch fight. And Bryan Battle, I actually did say that, and Bryan Battle liked that comment. I just can't see it because I can't click more right there. But Bryan Battle also liked this post too, and this is one of the more successful posts on my account. I thought that it was cool that I named him in this meme and that he actually interacted with it. Machado-Garry, he did a video with MMA Junkie about how he planned to remain super active in this division after the Shavkat fight. This was before that had even happened. Machado-Garry had been working to redeem his image for a long time after the whole... I don't even want to gratify it by just talking about what people like to criticize him for anymore, because dude, he's just a guy who fights, man. So why can't we just let him fight and let that just be it? Whatever his business is, that's just his business, man. Do you really care as much as you care about watching him get into contender matchups and possibly get knocked out or knocking out other people? That's what matters here. Like, who cares about what he does in the bedroom, dude, or what chair he sits in what corner of what room while he watches who does what with his woman? It's completely inconsequential to watching good fights take place on Saturday night. So whenever he did this interview and he was talking about how he planned to fight whoever he had to fight, whether it be Joaquin Buckley, Sean Brady, or just going straight to the title right afterwards, I commented, fuck, he's being likable, because I felt like he was, man, and he actually did like that comment. And this wouldn't have been something that would have included in the video, but I just thought that Ian Gary liked your comment was a funny notification to get, especially at the time whenever it happened, because people were still calling him the C word left and right. They've kind of chilled out on that because he schooled Prates, and really what can you say about him as long as he's outputting performances like this? There's another funny I made about Arnold Allen here. This is some wicked bars from UFC featherweight Arnold Allen.
Bass. MC Monty on the mic, yes I was sitting in the gaff and I had no fucking clue. Yes, I had to do something to do.
Believe it or not, Arnold Allen actually liked that post. Like, he liked that post and he saw it, and people tagged him on it, and he actually ended up liking it. I thought that was so funny that, again, just this meme that I made. You don't then get to go say that you know these people, but I mean, this is something that happened, dude. My page is a little bit more significant than it was before this moment happened, because Arnold Allen hadn't seen a meme that I had posted before. And that makes me feel more connected to the sport. And a lot of it is delusion. But, I mean, that's what stimulates a lot of all of our interests, right? For some reason, Rampage Jackson liked 2 of my story posts. There was this one, it's in horrible quality. It got deep fried because I just duplicated the photo at the top left, and I just stretched out the story post that I had made. But I just said that Pereira's last fight with Roundtree was splendid, and that it was maybe one of the best fights I've ever seen. And Quinn Rampage Jackson liked that story. And then I made another post just talking about how I'm very grateful for all of the interactions that I've been getting across both of my accounts, Instagram and YouTube. At that time even, and it's still popping off. And Quinn Rampage Jackson liked that post again. For a guy who's growing his MMA YouTube channel, for these legends of the sport or active contenders to be looking my way and acknowledging the things that I'm doing online, it's cool. It's cool. I'd love to be able to interview these fighters eventually, or to be able to report directly on these events by being there and then having coverage. I would love to be at the press conferences, asking them questions. That would be magnificent. I'd love to do that. Another fighter that I've met, King Green. I always have to edit the videos out whenever I say Bobby and not King Green after he changed his name. I just try to be respectful of all of everyone's preferences who fights, because I don't really know these people that closely. I do train at the gym that he also trains at, but he does close the gym down so he can get private sessions in with the fighters that he works with, his sparring partners there. And I've seen him spar before, and it's a magnificent experience. He's great at striking, and this is one of the better kickboxers that I've seen in person. And he even took a picture with me, which was cool. I think I asked him to do like a funny pose at first or something stupid. This was a couple of years ago. And he was like, man, I knew you were going to ask me to do some weird shit. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry. I mean, I just want to do something different, because whenever I take a picture with a fighter, you always just do this, right? Or you hold up a fist or something. And he was like, I would prefer if we just did that. And so that was just the joke right there. We were both laughing because that was the joke, is that we always do this whenever we take pictures with other people that we train with at the gym. That's my boy, dude. I hate to see him not win. It's not like, I hate it so much. I hate it because I mean, this experience was special to me. This makes me feel closer to MMA, the fact that I got to meet this person. This is history. This is hood style, bro. This is just from recently. Melquizael Costa, that boy Melky, the dude with vitiligo and featherweight. This is like my homie, bro. Initially down at the bottom right, this guy, he's into this Dalmatian bit where he wears this dog mask. And so I saw him wearing a dog mask with like this bathrobe on in one of his posts that he made on his Instagram page. And just callously, without even thinking about it while I'm at my cubicle, just waiting for the time to pass so I can go home, I comment, "This is weird AF, bro," with a heart. And it got 237 likes on his post with 4,000 likes. And he replied to it, and I was like, oh my god, Melquizael Costa replied to my comment. And so I took a screenshot of the comment reply and I put it on my Instagram story. And I said they need to add Melky Costa to Fortnite. I should have tagged Fortnite too, because they really need to do that. I would buy it. I would totally spend 1,200 V-Bucks on a skin of Melquizael Costa. And he ended up posting the story post that I had even made. And after that, that boy Melquizael Costa would just send me memes. And he sent me this like comedy bit that he did. I don't speak Portuguese, so I don't even understand it. But the first reply that I had made to one of the memes that he had sent me was, "Melky, I picked Julian Erosa over you. I'm sorry. You're going to be a mainstay of the rankings at featherweight, and I really like your kickboxing and grappling. Thank you for always fighting hard for the fans." And then I translated it on Google into Portuguese, and I sent it again, and he replied, "Thank you, man. God bless." And that is a positive fan interaction with an MMA athlete. He posted sparring footage on his Instagram story of him with Tubarão Joe Anderson Burrito. Burrito. And I replied to the story and I said, "Cool sparring partner. I hope he wins his next fight." And then he had this vitiligo shirt on, which I thought was cool. And I was like, yo, can I buy this? And like, he sent me a video of him promoting Vitiligo Awareness Day. And I saw this video and I felt bad about saying that the Dalmatian mask was weird on the other post. So I replied and I said, "I'm sorry for saying anything bad about the mask, Melky. Not worth 200 likes. I'm deleting the comment." So I went back to the first post that I had made and I deleted the comment. I think Melquizael Costa had even made another post recently where he was just talking about vitiligo awareness. That's his entire mission, is just to bring awareness to that disease, to make people feel less isolated and alone for having it. And I said something like, "I hope you brutally knock out your next opponent, Melky." And he liked that comment. So this is another brother, dude. Terrance Mckinney, Melquizael Costa, these are the boys. Another fighter that I've met before in the past, Alexander Volkov. I used to work at this shoe store in Venice Beach. And a lot of fighters do train in California in general, but especially in Southern California, and especially in the metropolitan areas, there's a lot of these guys. I met Alexander Volkov at my job. His coach was trying to buy some shoes. And I was like, "Hey, do you train?" Because I saw that he had a cauliflower ear. She had me slow down and repeat myself a lot because he didn't speak English very well. Through our conversation, I got out of him that he used to fight in MMA. I think he was a Bellator fighter. And now he's a coach. And that he coaches Alexander Volkov. And I'm like, wow, you coach Alexander Volkov? And this was right after he had beaten Marcin Tybura, I think. Then off the heels of this, I was talking to him about maybe like a Curtis Blades rematch. Or a Derek Lewis rematch. And this is like 2022, this video here, in this photo. A guy's grabbing my shoulder, which is crazy, because we had literally just met each other. But this is probably just like a cultural thing. I didn't mind it at all. Those guys, they're family. That coach was mad cool. And whenever we were talking about Alexander Volkov and these rematches and stuff, he was like, "You know, Alexander does train very close to here." And I was like, "Wow, really?" And he was like, "I can have him come to this place." I thought he was making a joke, and I started laughing. It was like, "No, for real." And he pulled out his phone, and he was like, "I'll be right back." And so I was just in there working my job for like 15 more minutes, and this dude's coach comes back inside of the store, and he's like, "Come outside." And so I look back at my manager, and I just walk out of the store, and Alexander Volkov pulls up, in this big ass Dodge Ram from like 2008, 2009. Dapped him up and I got to talk with him for a little bit. And I'm like, dude, I believe in you. I think you're a great fighter. I met Alexander Volkov right after he lost to Tom Aspinall and beat Jairzinho Rosenstruck. And after that, he fought Alexander Romanov, Tai Tuivasa, Sergey Pavlovich, and then he fought Cyril Gane. And so I never saw things going the way that they ended up going for him. But it was nice to speak with him. I don't remember a lot of our conversation because a lot of it was grunting back and forth just because we don't speak each other's languages. But I do like watching this video back. That's a pretty crisp dap. It was a cool moment for me. Luke Rockhold. And it sucks, man, because I just don't like this photo. I don't like this photo. I went for the arm grab, which is like kind of embarrassing. And I also was using like a face pad for like some witch hazel on my face before I went to my job, and there's a part of it that's in my hair in this photo, and I didn't pick it out before I took this picture with Luke Rockhold. But yeah, I met Luke Rockhold at this same shoe store job. His friend was buying some shoes, and why out of all people did you opt to fight another power puncher at middleweight as your retirement fight? Because we know that Luke Rockhold has a history of getting boomed on by fighters like Jan Blachowicz or Yoel Mero. He got brutally knocked out by both of those fighters, and he selected to fight with Paulo Costa. And I thought that was a guy who very well could produce another knockout over him. So I asked him why he chose to do this, and he said, he looked me in my eyes and he was like, I smelled fear coming off of Paulo Costa. And at that moment, I just knew I was in the presence of a legend. And so I asked him for a picture. We talked a little bit more about the state of middleweight. I don't remember the specifics of our conversation because everything always at my job just happened in passing because I'm always back and forth in between the stock room and the front room. But I did get to see Luke Rockhold, and I got a photo with him, which was cool. So above all, it's really important that if you are going to have interactions with MMA athletes or fighters in general, you just want to make sure that you just are always respectful towards them. Because just asking a personal thought tank question, how much do you hate whenever people force you into uncomfortable social interactions and then make a joke out of the way that you respond to them? How much does that frustrate you? If that ever has occurred in your life, do you really like that? Is that fun whenever you have to deal with that in person? If the answer is no, then why is it fair for you to anonymously do the same thing to someone that you don't know who's just trying to be successful at their job? Imagine you're at your job, you work at a cubicle, you do food service, and while you're doing whatever process that you're carrying out, there's a guy over your shoulder and he's just talking about how bad your pants that you chose to wear to work that day looked, how stupid your hair looks while you're doing your job, and how dumb your voice sounds. That would make you crash out if there was only like 3 people doing that to you. Imagine tens of thousands of people doing that to you online. And every single time that you go on your phone, some more dudes just hating, bro. And adding you on some posts being like, I hope you get knocked out cold. And that's why I'm an advocate, maybe not for fighters like John Jones, because I did end up being wrong about a lot of the assertions that I made pertaining to what I thought John Jones was prepared to do before he did retire, because he just retired. But whenever we're talking about fighters like Mario Batista, we gotta find forgiveness in our hearts for these guys, man. Because he's really just trying to win, get to this belt, make some money, feed his family. He probably has the same goal as the rest of these guys in doing that. And I don't think that it's fair to just hate on these people who are also doing this while chasing their dreams because they love this sport. And we love it too, so why do we not want to cultivate the careers of these guys who are really passionate about MMA? So that's my take. I really do like how easy it is to just have correspondence with any fighter. And especially outside of the rankings or whenever they just show up to the promotion, that's whenever it's best to start having these interactions with him. And I'm coming to find that out because I really do want to eventually build a reputation up to be able to have interviews with these people because I think that they're worth talking to and picking their brains. So yes, UFC 317 today. I will catch you guys in the recap uploaded after the event. After Ilia Topuria becomes champion. Come on. So yeah, you guys stay tuned for that. Please like, comment, and subscribe.